Get out of here, you freeloader. We've given you enough. My mother's voice sliced through the cold evening air as my father hurled my duffel bag down the porch steps. I didn't scream.
Didn't cry.
I just stood there, in the same driveway where I once played hopscotch and learned to ride my bike, now being evicted by the very people who were supposed to protect me. Hi everyone, my name is Elodie Graves. I'm 27. And for the past 5 years, I've been the unpaid maid, the babysitter, the errand runner, the family scapegoat. My parents had taken a long vacation to Europe with my golden child sister, Brielle. They came back glowing, rested, and cold. They didn't even come inside before declaring I overstayed my welcome. They said I'd done nothing for them. After 5 years of cleaning, sacrificing my college dreams, and watching my savings vanish on their groceries, they called me useless. I picked up the duffel bag, turned without a word, and walked away. But when I got to the bus stop and finally unzipped the bag, I froze. Because inside was something that didn't belong to me, but would change everything. The zipper stuck halfway, but when I yanked it open, I saw it immediately. A thick red envelope.
Heavy.
Embossed. With my father's initials in gold. Confused, I opened it, and my breath caught. Inside was a stack of legal documents, bound and signed. The top sheet read, Property Transfer, 48, Hearthstone Lane. Ownership title. That was our house. The family home. And next to the signature line was my name. Elodie A. Graves. I flipped through the rest, heart racing. There were notarized bank records, investment statements, even a trust fund registration form, all addressed to me. Dated 4 weeks ago. Why would my name be on any of this? Had they made a mistake? Or had someone they didn't expect, left it for me? That's when I remembered something. Just before their trip, my grandfather had pulled me aside during Sunday lunch. His voice shaking, he'd said, Don't ever believe them when they tell you you're worthless. One day, everything will make sense. He died 2 weeks later. Now, sitting at the bus stop, holding this envelope in my shaking hands, I realized he must have known exactly what was coming. And he didn't just leave me a gift. He left me a weapon. I spent the night in a small roadside motel, clutching the envelope like it was my last breath. By morning, I had a plan. At exactly 9 a.m., I walked into the county records office with the documents. The woman behind the glass skimmed through them, her eyes widening. These are legitimate. This house is yours now, Miss Graves. Fully transferred. Irrevocable. I nodded, heart pounding. My parents had no idea. Somehow, in their rush to throw me out, they'd mistakenly packed the very paperwork they planned to hide. Or maybe they never even read it, too caught up in their arrogance, too sure I'd never matter. The woman handed me the updated deed and smiled gently. Congratulations, homeowner. I left with a copy of the title, the keys still on the ring, and a new fire burning in my chest. But I didn't go back home just yet. Instead, I visited the bank listed on the trust documents. The manager confirmed everything. The account existed, the balance was real, and I was the sole beneficiary. It wasn't just a house.
It was a second chance.
A legacy. And they had no idea they'd handed me the match. 2 days later, I stood across the street from the house, my house, watching my family unload groceries like nothing had changed. They still thought they owned it. Still thought they had won. But they hadn't noticed the quiet mail from the bank. Or the official notice taped discreetly to the side door that morning. Ownership transfer confirmed. Immediate compliance required. They ignored it. Arrogance is loud like that. I didn't knock. I called the sheriff's department instead. 37 minutes later, 2 deputies escorted me up the driveway. My mother's face drained of color when she saw me holding the deed. What the hell is this? My voice didn't shake. It's called legal ownership. Granddad left it to me. You packed the documents into my bag yourself. My father lunged for the papers, but the deputy stepped between us. Sir, you need to vacate the premises within 72 hours unless Miss Graves agrees otherwise. She's the rightful owner now. The silence was ice cold. My sister Brielle looked at me like she'd seen a ghost. You don't belong here. I smiled. No, Brielle. You don't. That night, I changed the locks, and for the first time in years, I slept in peace. They didn't leave quietly. My mother screamed at the deputies. My father threatened lawsuits he couldn't afford. Brielle threw a mug at the mailbox and shattered it. But the law didn't care about their tantrums, only the title deed with my name in gold. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just watched as they packed up their things into garbage bags and dented suitcases, muttering curses under their breath. Brielle hissed, "You think this makes you better than us?" "No," I said, stepping onto the porch. "I think this makes me free." 3 days later, they were gone. But the damage they'd done remained. The house smelled like neglect. Walls were scuffed, furniture ruined, holes in doors and memories. It wasn't just a home anymore, it was a battlefield. So I started cleaning, one room at a time. I painted over insults they'd screamed. I donated the ugly gifts they used to manipulate me. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I called a lawyer. I had rights. That trust fund? It had interest. And taxes they never paid. Turns out they owed me. And I was ready to collect. My lawyer was a quiet woman named Dana, the kind who didn't waste words, only delivered results. Within 2 weeks, she uncovered everything. Forged withdrawals, years of unreported rent, and misuse of funds that were legally mine. My parents had siphoned money from the trust for years, pretending it didn't exist. But the paper trail was airtight. And now it was in my hands. Dana filed suit quietly, no drama, just pressure. The kind of pressure that makes people sweat before breakfast. The first call came from my father. I didn't answer. The second from my mother. Straight to voicemail. Then Brielle texted, "Can we talk? You don't have to do this." But I did. I sent them copies of the court documents with a single line beneath. "You taught me how to survive. You forgot I'd learn how to fight." The next day, the story hit local news. Daughter wins lawsuit against family over hidden inheritance. I didn't ask for attention, but I wasn't hiding anymore either. The reporter asked if I had a comment. I said, "Just one. Don't underestimate the quiet one. We're always the most dangerous." And I meant every word. Settlement came faster than expected. The evidence was overwhelming, and my parents knew it. They agreed to repay over $218,000 in stolen trust funds, plus damages. Brielle's name was removed from the second trust account Granddad had quietly created, a future nest egg she didn't even know she was losing until the ink dried. Dana called it poetic symmetry. I called it peace. But I didn't stop there. I donated part of the winnings to the local women's shelter in my grandmother's name. She used to tell me, "Elodie, kindness is power wrapped in patience." I finally understood what she meant. The rest, I reinvested. Into the house. Into myself. Into building something that could never be taken from me again. One morning, as I repainted the front fence, an elderly neighbor stopped by with her cane and said, "It's strange. The house feels lighter now. Like it's breathing again." I smiled, wiping paint from my wrist. It finally knows it's safe. Later that evening, Brielle showed up alone. No makeup. No noise. Just guilt in her eyes. "I didn't know it would go this far," she whispered. I looked at her, then at the gate between us. "That's the thing about consequences," I said. "They never knock." Brielle didn't speak after that. She just stood there, eyes glossy, hands trembling like she might reach for the past, for the version of us that never really existed. I didn't move. I didn't open the gate. Some doors stay closed for a reason. "Take care of yourself," I said. She nodded, wiped her face, and walked away. That night, I lit a candle in the living room and sat by the window, watching shadows pass across the walls I had once feared. The silence was different now. Not hollow. Not haunted. Just mine. In the weeks that followed, I changed everything. I planted a garden where my father used to park his truck. Hung soft curtains where my mother had taped up rules. I framed a photo of myself smiling, the first in years, and placed it on the mantel beneath the words, "She didn't break. She rebuilt." And one day, While reorganizing the last box from the attic, I found an old card from my grandmother. In delicate cursive it read, "When they bury you in silence, rise like thunder."